Good day. I'm Mark Lauterbach, principal and founder of Mark Lauterbach and Associates. We're a boutique consulting firm that specializes in supply chain and operations transformations. And as part of my Leaders of Industry series, I'm really pleased today to have with me Kishore Goud, a supply chain senior leader with particular strengths in strategic procurement. He has worked in a variety of industries with leading companies such as Prologis, Mars, Nike, Intel, and Chrysler. He is known for his ability to improve the performance of procurement and strategic sourcing organizations through transformational leadership. Welcome.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate you having me on your Leaders of Industry program. I'm eager to talk to you today about transformational leadership and my experience in that area and how hopefully it can help others.
When you join a new organization, can you walk us through your process of how you evaluate and improve that organization?
Sure. I really based mine on the Cotter model. Mm-hmm. You know, it's time tested, it's well proven. As you said, there's 8 steps, and yeah, sure, I'll talk about those. And as I go through, I think there's really a few of those, probably 4 for me that really stick out, and I'll highlight those as well.
That'll be wonderful.
So the first one is really you need to create a sense of urgency. Mm-hmm. You know, it needs to be disruptive. It needs to change the way people's thinking is and not be, you know, just part of the status quo. Mm-hmm. You know, it needs to grab people's attention and really align to the strategy of the company. And then you also have to have, you know, senior leaders that are really strong, vocal, and visible around mm-hmm. that, you know, that change and that sense of urgency.
Right.
So people need to feel like if we don't do this, the business is going to suffer. Mm-hmm. All right. It can't be something that it's a nice to have. Like this is mission critical.
Right.
So I think that's first and foremost. I want to emphasize that because I think if you don't have that, the rest of the transformation is just not going to happen.
Right. It'll be window dressing and it's not going to stick.
The next one would be building a coalition, right? So mm-hmm. This is at all levels of the organization. You need to have relationships with these folks, help them by painting a picture of where the future can go and what it's going to take to get there. Obviously, you know, as a part of any type of large change, you need to have a vision, and then you need to have initiatives that, you know, are really where the action happens in terms of delivering on that. So again, that's I think that comes with the territory. Mm-hmm. The next one is really you need to engage people in creating a volunteer army. And, you know, for me, it's a change champion network. Mm-hmm. This is critical, right? And a lot of people don't do this. They just simply communicate and then expect. But you need to be building, you know, this network of people who are your eyes, ears, hands, and voice across the organization. You can't be everywhere, right? So, you know, I had a previous transformation that I was leading where the transformation was covering more than 20 countries. There's no way I could be everywhere all at once, right? So I need these people to really help me to do that. But as a part of that, you need to engage them, right? This is not just you sending a message out and expecting them to deliver it. You need for them to be not only taking the message out, but you need to allow them to bring the feedback back from the organization and adjust to that and help them succeed. Because again, they're volunteering their time, right? They're not this as a part of, this is not their day job. This is something that they're doing because they see value in what you're trying to do and they want to help.
Right.
So they want to engage these folks.
And I love when we were talking off camera, you know, like when you're Chrysler and there's key people on the floor that are thought leaders, right? People look up to them. It's not necessarily a shop foreman, right? It could be someone who's been with the company for 20 years and having that person, having the emotional intelligence to recognize, you know, it's people from the shop floor all the way up to senior leadership and all in between. You're creating, you know, this neural network of people that believe in the cause and will help. And I agree with you. That is a key success factor that so many people miss. And
yeah, and this is different. Again, this is a little bit different than the coalition that I talked about before, which is your You may have some who are members of both, but the coalition is really kind of a guiding group here, again, board.
Exactly.
These people primarily are frontline, boots on the ground people who are actually going to be impacted by the changes directly.
Absolutely.
And what I've seen in a lot of change transformations is there's a big vision that comes from the leadership, the executive team, and then you've got folks on the front lines eventually who are expected to deliver on that. Where the transformations, actually where the challenge is a lot of times, is in that middle level, right? Because these folks are in between the strategy and the execution. And in some cases, they feel threatened, right, about their jobs. So
sure.
Sometimes the vision that comes from the executive team isn't properly transmitted down to the frontline workers that are there, and that needs to happen. So these people who are in the volunteers in the Champion Network need to be people who are willing to, and you are empowering to step up. And even when it's their management, what's transferred from the strategy from the executives doesn't fully make it down and is not communicated clearly to frontline employees.
Absolutely.
And sometimes the middle management can actually go against the transformation because they may feel threatened. Yep. And so it's important that these frontline workers, people who are part of the change network, that you're supporting them, because they're sometimes putting themselves in positions where they are putting up their hand and they're saying, no, I actually do see value in this, and this is what we really need to be doing. And they may be going against what their direct manager is telling them. And so you need to be there to back them up, and you need to get the backup of the senior leadership team as well.
Sure, absolutely.
But, the next one, number 5, is really around removing barriers. So a lot of times organizations have processes and procedures and structures and just rules that make it very difficult for the change to happen, right? So they may be doing things like, for instance, having expectations around, hitting a number at all costs. Well, hitting a number at all costs might take away from what the transformation is, because there's other things that need to happen, not just hitting the numbers, right? And so that's an important part of it as well. Number 6 is really getting short-term wins. And this is critical. This is one of these ones that is critical, because this is where you create inertia. When an organization's been doing things a certain way for a long time, it's hard to make a change. And so these wins need to happen. And so no matter how small they are, they need to be recognized, they need to be shared, they need to be celebrated, and they need to be, repeated where possible. So again, you're building this inertia, which then starts to become momentum.
Right. And you're validating the transformation.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Number 7, which is really around sustaining the acceleration, is another one which is critical. And the reason is you start seeing wins happening and people start feeling like, hey, everything's going okay, and including the senior leadership team. And so they don't talk about it as much. They don't celebrate it as much. But this is not the time to slow down. This is, in fact, the time that they should be pushing the foot down on the pedal.
Right, exactly.
Moving even faster, right? And making sure that the momentum's there, because what happens otherwise is that people in the organization will start looking at this as a program of a month, and this transformation is going to fizzle. And I've seen it happen over and over again where you made it this far in your transformation, and then things start slowing down, and they never achieve results. So again, this is critical.
Absolutely.
And then lastly, once you've gone through all of this and you're getting these wins and it's starting to you've built momentum, now's the time to really institute it, right? So whether that be, again, going back to the kind of the barriers, right? Whether that be changing the structures, changing roles, changing processes, you need to embed the changes into the everyday workings of the company. And then that becomes the new way of operating, and the old way is no longer there.
Yeah.
But that, these steps, these 8 steps, and certainly the 4 that I highlighted, are critical to make that jump, from where you were to where you want to be. Kind of, I think you had mentioned earlier of just kind of crossing the chasm, and then, but in order to cross that chasm, you have to take these steps.
Oh, absolutely. And I love the fact that you've done transformations in organizations focused on, direct production materials, indirect materials and services. You've been able to show that there's value in strategic sourcing and strategic procurement at all levels, all different types of organizations and different industries. And that's really a testament to your leadership and your ability to use the process. And I love the Cotter process, but you really made it come to life today. And I really appreciate the way you did that. And for my viewers, Kishore's email address is now on screen. Please reach out to him and connect. Kishore, I really love this. We had a short amount of time. Will you come back and let's take a deeper dive into one of your projects in the future?
Absolutely. I'd love to, Mark.
That'd be great. And everyone, please connect, and thank you for listening today.